I believed all along that we could go wherever we wanted to go, as long as everyone believed it. I mean, he told me the first day I ever met him, Purple's going to Pasadena.
I believed in them as much as I knew they believed in themselves.
For this season to turn out the way it did, it's like a dream come true.
We were relentless in the way that we prepared.
And I think that's what we were in 95. We were forced to continue.
He's at the 10! He's in for the touchdown!
As it is called, the Cinderella story. Well, we've had all the romance. Now let's find out if she can dance.
When Gary Barnett was hired by Northwestern in 1992, he promised to take the Purple to Pasadena. Even the most optimistic Wildcat fans had a hard time believing he'd be able to accomplish that in just 4 years. But after completing an undefeated Big Ten season, the Wildcats were set to head to their first bowl game in a half a century. And not just any bowl game, the granddaddy of them all.
We did not even have a true indoor facility. So we started taking these yellow school buses up to Hallis Hall, which is not that close, right? Loading all your equipment, getting in, and I think Barnett was like, "This is insane. I mean, we can't do this."
We actually had to fly out to California earlier than most schools do. I think we flew out mid-December because we didn't have a practice facility.
They put them up in a hotel on the beach in Newport Beach, and they worked out, I think maybe at UC Irvine, somewhere in one of the local universities. They had a beautiful practice field. The weather was unbelievable. It was perfect out there the entire time.
2 or 3 days in, we started doing double sessions, and we started practicing twice a day. And I think part of it was just, there's a bunch of college kids in California. What are we going to do if they're not practicing?
Coach Barnett was good about giving it players space, but he did tell them, if you screw up, I'm getting you a bus ticket back to Evanston. And he was dead serious.
The whole pageantry kind of leading up to the game was awesome. All the pregame activities between Disney World and the Lowry's Beef Bowl and all the things associated with the Rose Bowl it was incredible. It was a first class experience.
We go to Disneyland and do this skit with Charlton Heston. David Schwimmer comes out to practice one day. That's when Friends was all the rage. We're on the Leno show, Jay Leno show. I mean, these are not everyday experiences.
We were the biggest stars in a city that celebrated superstars. And I would say our team was absolutely the biggest stars in the Los Angeles area.
I grew up in California. I grew up going to the Rose Bowl. From where I grew up to Northwestern, there weren't a lot of people that thought I'd be coming back to the Rose Bowl as anything other than an usher or something, or as a player.
My name is Casey Daly, and I'll be your skipper for as far as we get.
When I worked at Disneyland, I had done the Jungle Cruise thing, and I had taken the Penn State players in my boat. And I mean, just talk about humility and just being not pleased with where I was at, but life happens.
There was time to have fun, and there was areas around there to have fun, and we'd go out and we'd have fun. And we were celebrating a great season. I mean, I don't think we overdid it, but it wasn't sitting in your hotel room watching Netflix at night. We went out and made curfew and were responsible, but had fun. So we had good times there together.
Guys enjoyed themselves. I think took everything very seriously though. Prepared hard, probably the best preparation that you could hope for.
They worked as hard for that game as any game all year. I mean, we didn't let them not work, but we weren't going to go into that game and say we lost the game because we didn't prepare enough.
I remember walking into the Rose Bowl for the very first time in Pasadena. It was a beautiful day. We're with our teammates. We're taking pictures on the field. It's like, wow, we're finally at the promised land. Everything that Steve Musso talked about, and we finally got here, and it is as beautiful as mentioned earlier on. It was beautiful. The day was beautiful, and to see the sea of purple that was there at the game that day, it was absolutely sensational.
Northwestern as a school has a very proud alumni base, but we're scattered all over the country, and so you don't always feel it on campus, but all of a sudden everybody was there. And I think the whole week, just seeing the people that had been longtime Northwestern passionate fans kind of get this chance to celebrate was really cool.
Coming out of the tunnel 3 minutes before kickoff and seeing 60 to 65% of the stadium all in purple, knowing that that's, over 60,000 Wildcat fans, was something that I'll never forget. And the thing that went through my mind is that all the hard work, all of the working for very low wages as a graduate assistant was all worth it, just for that one moment.
Growing up in the Midwest, playing in the Rose Bowl with Keith Jackson announcing the game was something, the granddaddy of them all, was something that you always dreamed of. And it was a dream being realized. So, a lot of it was kind of just, you're almost starstruck for a few seconds, right? Because you just can't believe that you're here. And particularly with all the stuff that we had gone through to get there. And the probability of that coming in as a freshman at Northwestern was just amazing.
As captains, we were able to go out before our team. And, for me, it was more of a quick realization of we've arrived. And to walk out there and go through the coin toss and, listen to the referee explain what's going to happen with the coin and, you accept and not accept, et cetera, kick, not kick, goal, what goal you're going to defend. And then heading on back to the sideline after the coin toss and saying, it's on. This is it. This is it, guys.
The Foundation Expect Victory is brought to you by Wintrust, Chicago's bank and official bank of Northwestern Athletics, and by Under Armour, official outfitter of Northwestern football.
This is the Rose Bowl, in case you don't know. And in case you don't know, you sure have missed a lot of fun over the years. Guess who's back there to return the kickoff? Darnell Autry.
The perception was that it had been a disappointing year for USC. And so they've been to the Rose Bowl before, and they're playing almost at home, so it's not quite the same significance for them. And, of course, the Cinderella story makes Northwestern a sentimental favorite to a lot of people. So, there was a lot of talk going into it. Why wouldn't the Wildcats win this game? They'd already beaten Notre Dame and Michigan and Penn State. Now, how about USC? I don't think anyone had ever beaten those four in the same season.
We were extremely confident. Now, USC had some tremendous athletes, and they had a bunch of NFL prospects on that team. They had an NFL defensive lineman. They obviously had Keyshawn Johnson, who did pretty well in that game for himself. Good for him. But given what we had gone throughout the course of the season, the signature wins that we had, and the fact that we have a lot of pride in Big Ten football, right? Smash mouth Big Ten football. Our confidence level was extremely high.
We were moving the ball on them. Hartle in particular had an unbelievable game. Although I will tell you, he started off the game throwing up in the huddle and because he was nervous. I'm like, can you please stop? Because we're sort of running out of the 25-second clock and we need to get going. But he was fine. Clearly bounced back pretty quickly.
I think we had one of the best offensive outputs we had in the entire season. And it started with that drive and featuring our superstar running back that we didn't think anyone in the country could stop. And with Dwayne on the other side of me, I knew we had a chance to have an effective passing game as well.
Little play action, try to hold the linebackers and then run the slant. Great throw and catch by Bates, and a great move right here. Little spin. This is a big drive for Northwestern, getting the ball down after Southern California scored on their first possession.
We saw right away when USC scored that we went out to score some points. This is not going to be a 10-7, 15-17 game.
Second down and goal from the 3. Autry to the corner. Touchdown. Of all the running backs in the country, I think he can use leverage as well as anybody, anywhere, after he is hit.
That game was a series of back and forths. I remember that, right? And so, for us, we didn't go into that game assuming that we knew it was going to be a dogfight. We knew it was going to be a hard-fought battle. With those sorts of games, you never know how they're going to transpire, so you got to be just prepared to do whatever it takes to win the ball game, right? And so we were fighters.
It was like, okay, it's on, right? They went and drove against our defense, and we scored against their defense. At that point, we looked at it as, all right, it's 0-0. Let's start over again. But again, we had a early confidence. Again, you just never know until you kick off. You can game plan all you want from film, but you don't really know until you line up physically with the team. And we do this is a good football team.
Well, Keith, one of the prominent players who isn't on this field is number 51, Pat Fitzgerald, who had that broken leg against Iowa. I talked to him before the game. He says how he gets through this time because he can't play is the fact that he's a junior, and he believes he can come back and this team at Northwestern can be back in the Rose Bowl. He also told me that he spent a lot of time with Don Holmes getting up there telling him how to play things in this ball game. Keith?
Sammy and I both, had, I think, great years and then had everything taken away from us at the same time. We really became close at the Rose Bowl. He and I ended up going all over the place with our, because we were injured. I think with Toussaint also was our third wheel because we were out. So we were driving all over to these fundraisers and banquets and, that masqueraded the fact it was almost like a ruse. And we're like, yeah, go Cats. And we're both getting in the bus going, about 3 of us like, this stinks, man. Wish we were practicing, wish we were playing. So do I have the pain and regret that I didn't play in the game? Yeah, absolutely. Does it drive me? You better believe it. But I wouldn't share a second of that game for any of the memories that we share collectively today.
Back to throw it. He's got some time. Pumps once. Tucks the ball away. Now he throws to the end zone. Touchdown. On the right side of the end zone, Barnum was open about a yard deep. Right along the sideline. So the USC Trojans regain the lead here.
I was called 10 in the morning on Sunday after the Michigan-Ohio State game, and I met with Rick Taylor, the athletic director, to start planning the process.
It wasn't like they just go to the file cabinet with a file on bowl travel, because this was all new. So now Gary had been through it, obviously, and had some experience with it, and some of the other members of the coaching staff.
I have to give Rick Taylor a lot of credit. When we first started talking about going to the Rose Bowl, when we first got information, I think there was a $1.5 million budget to go to the Rose Bowl. And the school makes a decision as to whether if they want to overspend, they can overspend. Well, our school made a decision they were going to save $500,000, and we were only going to go for $1 million. And Rick came into my office to tell me that, and I said, I can't tell you what I said to him, but I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, we should be taking everybody under the sun to this game. And Rick went back and fought that battle for us. And sure enough, the powers to be changed their mind, and we ended up taking everybody that we could take, and we probably cost the school some money, but in the long run, they made it back. But and that's a little bit of an indication of what I walked into in 1992. So I guess I should have not been surprised.
He wanted everybody in the department, the academic people, the facilities people, equipment, athletic training to feel part of that great run and that championship. And that was brilliant by him to make sure that everybody, the lowest person on the totem pole, felt like they were valued. And, back then that wasn't the management style of the day.
37-yard field goal attempt for Brian Goins out of the hole to Paul Burton. Here's the snap. The kick by Goins is up, and it is no good. He missed it wide to the right. So the Trojans take over, still leading 14-7 with 9:42 to go in the half.
When we went out there on defense, there were some really good adjustments that they did. They were known as a running team, but they had the number one receiver in the nation, Keyshawn Johnson.
You had to have a plan for Key. Remember, he caught 93 balls, I believe, that season. So we knew that he was a big guy that they loved to target. One every 3 balls or something was going his way. And we knew that we had to figure out a way to try to slow him down. Because if he got rolling, he's a guy that likes to let you know how he's doing too. So we had to figure out how. But I felt like we had some solutions for him.
And Ron Vanderland and I, who was the defensive coordinator, we reminisce about this game a million times. And he would have done the whole thing different. And I sort of insisted on putting Ishmaeli on Keyshawn man-to-man and playing zone behind him. And as hard as Udefa played and worked, it just didn't happen for us. It just wasn't the best plan as it worked out. I mean, we didn't going in, we thought it was, but as the game unfolded, it wasn't the best plan.
I thought we had a really good plan. We just didn't execute it well. There were points in time we were going to double him, and we'd bring a safety down and cut him off on one side and have Udefa chase him on the backside. So he was trapped. And there were a couple times Udefa just overran him, and he kind of ran what you would call a whip route. He'd push inside and push back out. And now he's wide open, and so we just, for whatever reason, we just didn't execute the double well.
Adam Abrams for the field goal try of 30 yards. He got it. Kick to the goal line. It is Ismaili. He's tough nut to bring down. They finally drill him at about the 26-yard line. 26-yard line for the Wildcats. They've been traveling a lot with the pass themselves, and they're looking to do it again as the ball is thrown to the sidelines and it is incomplete. Brian Musso could not reel in the low pass. 17-7, USC has the lead. 3:15 to play in the first half. Snares pass thrown right to the numbers of Darnell Autry, swinging out of the backfield, and he's just over the 30. That ball is thrown into the hands of Brian Musso, and he fumbles as he goes down. It's picked up by the Trojans, and on the way is Dalen McCutcheon. And it's touchdown for the freshman.
I remember catching that little crossing pattern and making a few guys miss, and the controversial fumble that was returned for a touchdown. That was a tough way to go into halftime.
I watched that play from the sidelines. It certainly looked to us like his knee was down, and we were certainly screaming that from the other side of the field. It's just really, really unfortunate that the momentum that we were building on that drive was reversed because they picked up that ball and ran for a touchdown. That was a 14-point swing.
Musso was down. He was down in that play, right? I'll go to my graves thinking that Musso didn't fumble.
I think if we had instant replay, probably Musso's alleged fumble wouldn't have been a fumble, but we didn't have instant replay at that time.
I don't remember dwelling on that for very long. It was something that happened. I do think it was in the replay era, the knees down, but it is what it is. That's not the era. I might not have even been playing in today's era. Some quicker guy might have been in there. So that was, that was obviously the play that sticks with me early in the game.
They hadn't been in that many situations where they got down by 2 or more scores. And in this case, here they suddenly find themselves down by 17, 24-7, I think was the score. So it was, I think, going to be a real test for them. I mean, SC was good. They had a Hall of Fame coach in John Robinson. They were playing close to home. And, it was incumbent on Northwestern to try to get it going against them offensively.
There's a turnover.
Northwestern got it. So the Wildcats get a break. And the purple and white side of the stadium stands and cheers. Lavelle Woods puffed it up.
Ismaili, number 3, is near this. Let's take a look. They've done this all year long. 32 takeaways by this purple defense. That's 52, and they're pulling at the ball. That's sharp, and Ismaili is on it.
24/7. If they go down and score and put up 27 or 31, I mean, again, anything is possible in the second half. But boy, what a tall mountain to climb. So, again, the defense, as they've done all year, it's no surprise it was Hudayfa, right? Was able to get the fumble, but we just knew we had to do something. We had to stop momentum. Football is all about momentum, right? Can you stop it? And our defense came up with it. We knew we could move the ball. We from the first drive and throughout the game, that's a great defense. They had a couple first rounders on that team, but we knew our offense could move the football against this team. And going into the half, Barnett and Coach, hey, we just need to get points on this drive. So that was our mentality: just do what we can, at least get in position to score. Obviously, we got a great field goal, and just going into halftime, still down, but we felt we at least stopped their momentum and at least go into halftime with a chance to just regroup, reset, kind of re-strategize, and then come back out and hopefully play the best second half of football that we can.
At halftime of the Rose Bowl, Northwestern's glass slipper appeared to be slipping away. USC had flexed its muscle, jumping out to a 24-7 lead and led 24-10 at the half. But Gary Barnett's Wildcats hadn't come this far to go down without a fight.
All right, Ismaili is back there along with Adrian Autry to receive the kickoff to start the second half. And they need something good to happen for them early on here because USC did control the ball most of the second quarter.
Barnett had been to a national championship with Colorado, so he had a very good demeanor about him. But, I think his message was, listen, you just got to keep doing what got you here, And I know it sounds very simple, but sometimes that's, those are the kind of things you need to hear, right? We're not going to go out and score 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes and get this thing back to a tied football game. It's going to take us some time. I'm sure somewhere in there he said, someone please try to tackle Keyshawn Johnson at some point.
We have made enough mistakes in the first half to make a really good team look great. That's the bottom line. So our goal is to eliminate those mistakes, whether it's physical or mental, and just do what we've done all season. Take it play by play, drive by drive. We're going to get back in this game.
We were down 17, but it wasn't like us to fold up shop. We were coming back. So I don't think our character at that point was pretty deep, and we weren't going to stop playing.
Steve Schnur had guided this team through so many key moments all season long. They had Bates, they had Musso, they had Beasley, they had Darnell. There was no reason to think they weren't going to get it done again.
It's probably the first game where our offense outplayed our defense. We played better on that side of the ball than the defense did.
It was a fun game for me personally. I felt like our coaching staff went into that game, and really all the bowl games we played, feeling like the team speed that USC had, meant that we needed to open up our offense a little bit. And so, for me, catching some screen passes, which were plays that they put in for those games where I could get the ball and run with it a little, which was kind of what I was what I was decent at. It was a fun game for me because they put some things in specifically where, I could make some plays in the game. We threw everything we had at him. I had some chances to make plays. Dwayne had a lot of catches. Darnell obviously had a lot of touches. And, we were spreading the ball around and doing everything we could to score points.
Brian Goins in for a field goal try from the 18. A 28-yard try is good.
Here's the approach by Brian Goins. Onside kick. It's going to be recovered, I think, by the Wildcats. Josh Barnes at the 38-yard line. Yes, it is. Josh Barnes.
The element of surprise. I mean, that has won and lost a lot of football games. But, considering we needed possessions. We needed to have more possessions in the second half. We're going to have a chance to get back in the game. So after scoring, that call really comes from the head coach, Barnett.
You could see after the initial part of the game, our kids kind of settled down and we're fighting back. You can see that. And so, I know Gary talked about doing an onside kick if we got the opportunity, and he did. And so that was a gutsy call. But it worked, and gave us an opportunity to get back in the game.
Barnett liked to dial that stuff up, and I think as a team, players want to be aggressive. It's just the way you want to play is you want to take the shot. So, yeah, we were not shy about calling that stuff. Barnett always had something up his sleeve, and he was willing to pull it out. It's great coaching. They do the little things. They figure out where there's a little edge, and then they exploit it. We did onside kicks, and we did a lot of stuff throughout the year, fake punts. And, and they weren't afraid to call them, and they weren't afraid to call them in tough situations.
It's pitched out to the left side, and Artry makes a diving try, doesn't come up with it, and there's a penalty flag on the field. And it's thrown back down there in the secondary. So it might well be again the Trojans.
Defensive holding had to be a first down.
They were down on the 9, first and goal. This time they give it to Darnell Autry, and he's working down the corner. Touchdown! Boy, there's some good blocking on that right side to give him that little alley down the sidelines.
24-19, they're down by 5. Trying to make it 2, so you'll only be down by 3, which is a field goal, obviously.
And Leary checks into the backfield. That means they're going to throw this thing. Schnurr's pass thrown away. Missed him. He missed him. He had Beasley. I think he had Beasley, and he just didn't hit him.
We knew that we could score on them. So defensively, it by far wasn't our best game. So we just felt like we had to get stopped. We got to find a way to stop the bleeding and to get off the field, on third downs. And so we felt like if we could do that, if we could create some turnovers, give our offense extra possessions, that they had shown they could move the ball against this team.
Strangely, they had a 2-quarterback system. So we felt like maybe there was something there that maybe one of the 2 quarterbacks just hadn't played well enough to earn the starting spot. But Brad Otten played out of his mind that game, as did Keyshawn, who I think put up over 200 yards of offense on us.
That's Johnson in motion. He's got it. He's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Trojans.
Keyshawn just kept coming at us. So, I heard about it every day. My locker was next to Keyshawn's in New York when I was with the Jets. And, I'd say about half the days he would sit down next to me and say like 10 for 200 or whatever his stats were, and that's all he would say. So he had a good day. He reminded me about it a lot.
6:08 to play in the third quarter. It is now 31 USC and 19 Northwestern.
The Foundation Expect Victory is brought to you by Wintrust, Chicago's bank and official bank of Northwestern Athletics, and by Northwestern Medicine, relentless in the quest for better care.
Although, USC's in the heart of LA, it seemed like everybody there was cheering for us to win. I mean, we had the fans and the people, and the energy was on our side.
The ball goes to Ismaili, a yard deep in the end zone. He's tough. He's across the 25 to the 26. Darnell Autry is the deep back. That's Beasley in motion. And Schnurr gives it. No, he kept it. He wants to go big with it. Down the middle of the field for Dwayne Bates, and he caught it! What a great catch by Bates. He had two Trojans hanging all over him. They lost contact with him, lost sight of the ball, and he made a great play.
Take a look from the goalpost cam from behind. Little fake and a fake reverse. Now that's allowing the receiver to get down there. But look, good coverage, double coverage. But Bates just wants it more than those two backs. It's supposed to come off like it's a reverse or a run and then take off running. But Davis is 23 and Kelly 42. They were there, but Bates made the play.
Yeah, but you add on the personal foul from the 28-yard line where Bates was put down, and Northwestern owns the football. First down at the USC 13-yard line.
Although we've had some explosive games during the season offensively for us, that day really showed the capability of our full offense. I think at that point, you probably know, but statistically, that was probably one of offensively, stat-wise, yardage, one of our best, if not the best, game of the season.
We started to open up on the offense. We had to. They were forcing us to do that. Dwayne was making some great plays. Musso made some great plays. Hartle. The line was blocking well when we had chances with Autry. So, things were starting to click for us.
Schnurr sneaks for it again. This time he's in. Touchdown! And the Wildcats won't go away.
They won't say uncle. They're not going to say uncle. They said we're going to go down fighting, scratching, fighting. We come all the way out here to Pasadena. It took us 47 years to get here. It's going to take a heck of a lot to keep us out of the end zone. What a game.
Last four Northwest possessions, the Wildcats have gone field goal, touchdown, touchdown as we begin the final quarter. Schnurr back, little quick pop, good for the first down. It's Musso, Brian Musso, pounding his way inside the 15 and finally thrown down at the 13.
They just were always positive. You could have never convinced me that we're going to lose the game because our kids felt that we could find a way to win the game.
Third down and good 13. There they go with Autry. Darnell Autry inside the 10 to the 9. Penalty flag goes down. You may have a face mask. So USC really shooting themselves in the old foot. USC has had 7 penalties in this half.
Well, 13-18 to go, and Northwestern with a chance to take the lead for the first time today. Side formation backfield with Hartle and Autry, McGrew in motion. Schnurr takes the snap, gives to Darnell Autry, pushes his way, and steps into the end zone. Touchdown! Darnell Autry with his third touchdown of this Rose Bowl game, and the Wildcats take the lead.
Untouched, unscathed. He hit the hole. There was nobody there. What a great blocking effort up front. What a great job. And the Cats take the lead. Can I say it again for you, Dave?
32-31. And it appears they're going to go for 2. Up to the line come the Wildcats. They failed on a 2-point try earlier. 2 receivers right. And Schnurr backpedaling. He's going to throw it to the end zone. Darren Drexler couldn't hang on. 2 yards deep. But Northwestern has the lead with 13:01 to go.
As we brought it up to close to even, and then we scored a go-ahead touchdown. It felt like the momentum had shifted to the point where this was our game. And credit to USC, they kept battling. You could easily paint a scenario where they blow a lead like that, especially with sort of the season they had. That was, I think, a little disappointing for them. I think there was some projected them to be number 1 that season. and fold. But credit to them, they didn't.
Had the lead in the fourth quarter, and I think at that point we're all thinking, "Hey, this is it. It's a storybook finish for a storybook season. It's working out just the way we all thought."
You got a quarterback that got hot. They had some good plays. We weren't really worried about Keyshawn beating us on a 9 route, like going vert. But what you had to worry about him is like when he wanted to play basketball, use his body to box you out, screen you, because he big disposition, big catch radius, because he would use his size and length. And then, once he catches, because he's 6'4", 6'4.5", he's hard to get to the ground.
The game that Keyshawn Johnson had, made him first pick. 12 catches, 216 yards. He had the big 50-plus yard touchdown catch. And look, they were using two quarterbacks, so I think there was some questions about their ability to sustain their offense. But Keyshawn played out of his mind that day. They just really didn't have an answer for him.
46 yards for the lead. Good. 9:09 to play, and the Trojans back the lead by 2.
We believed throughout the game. That is one thing we saw all season, that we had won a lot of games in the end, in the fourth quarter, field goals, whatever it may have been. The clock says 0-0-0. We play as if we either trying to close out the game or we're coming back to win.
It was a tremendous football game. Clearly would like to have at least one play back, but it was a tremendous football game.
Schnurr's pass intercepted. Carrying it is Jesse Davis. Down to the Northwestern 30-yard line. Schnurr had his man, but on the run, couldn't deliver the ball.
Look, it was my best game statistically, like passing yards. That play where we threw an interception in the fourth quarter. It was a back and forth game. It was a play action pass. Thought about audibly out of it and throwing a quick little hitch to Bates. Clearly, I wish I would have done, but I didn't. Let's play ride. Hartle was open, wide open across the middle. I was rolling out, just didn't really square my shoulders upright. Ball sails a little bit and lands right in the guy's hands, and that was it was tough. But that wasn't the end.
There's 4 or 5 plays in every game that make a difference, right? We missed a couple of field goals in that game. We had a late interception in that game. We had a holding penalty on a touchdown that Dwayne Bates had that would have gotten us within 3 points really late in the game. You look at those 4 or 5 things, they make a difference, right?
Washington over the top, touchdown.
We played hard in that game. We had a chance to win it. I think we would all planned a little bit. We maybe had done a different plan if we had to do over again. We didn't have that opportunity. So it was, I think a lot of us, me included, sort of thought fairy dust would carry us through that one too.
That's a good way to put it. You're sort of waiting like, yeah, we should kick in right about now, right? Like this should be about the time when, so-and-so gets an interception and then Schnurr throws a touchdown, and it just didn't happen. We had been basically dead in the rights against Wisconsin, a couple other teams where we just should not have won, and we won, and so you were sort of waiting for that to happen, and it just didn't happen.
At the end of the game, there was when we knew we weren't going to win, there was this huge roar, and I remember standing there next to Lisa Jusic and Steve Willard, who was our head athletic trainer, and saying, like, what is that? Like, what's going on in the stadium? And then you realize it was all the people in purple standing up applauding. So that really that got me then, and it gets me even now just to think about the appreciation that they had. But I'll never forget that a whole stadium standing up in unison and cheering for Northwestern.
We had a great group of guys. We really loved each other. You know, we went to battle together. We sacrificed and believed in something that no one else believed in, and we accomplished something that was surprising and amazing and, you know, certainly historic for Northwestern. And I was just grateful to be a part of it.
I had people from all over the country reaching out to me. Some that I didn't even know. And they were saying, look, I was in a hospital bed cheering for you guys, just rooting you on because you are underdog. No one believed in you guys, but you came together and you gave me hope that through what I'm dealing with, I can find success. And so to me, that's the fairy tale. You know, we created a lot of hope for a lot of people.
So we weren't flashy. You know, we just worked our butts off and found a way to get it done, made enough plays. And I think that's what the city, but I think the nation rallied around. Everybody loves an underdog. And, you know, particularly for a school that doesn't compromise its values, you know, it was an amazing story from that standpoint. I mean, beating the likes of Notre Dame and Michigan and Penn State, having an opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl. You know, it's a story that, to me, it is a story that inspires a lot of people.
We were in it all the way till the end. Steve throws a touchdown to Dwayne, kind of in those waning minutes that ultimately gets called back. We end up attempting a field goal that hits the crossbar. So I feel like there was just a couple moments that didn't fall in our favor in the way that it did in the previous games. So the Cinderella season, you know, ultimately ended with a thud instead of the crescendo that we all wanted.
We had an opportunity there, and Brian Goins' kick hit the upright, and I remember the camera caught Gary, and he just kind of smiled and looked down. And it was sort of summed up the feeling I think everybody had, you know, so close, so many things have gone right, just missed by that much.
I wish the game would have had a different outcome. I think time just ran out. I think we were the better team. I think they had the best player. But I also don't know, with 25 years of hindsight, whether the outcome of that game changes the arc of the narrative. Nobody remembers who we played. I get asked, who did you play? Did you guys win? That's not part of the story. The story is that this program won a Big Ten title and played in a Rose Bowl game. And that, to me, reinforces how important the Rose Bowl is.
We want to be irrelevant in terms of Northwestern football history. You know, the way to make us irrelevant is win another Big Ten championship and go out and win the Rose Bowl. And we as a group would be collectively probably more excited than everybody else about that phenomenon happening, right? I mean, that's what we want. We want that continued level of success. We want for the kids that are there today, or the young men that are there today, to experience the same things that we got a chance to experience, right? It totally changed the trajectory of a lot of our lives to go through that experience.
The 1995 team is probably viewed as the greatest team or the most significant team in Northwestern history. And we didn't know it at the time, and maybe it won't be forever, but it is pretty special to look back and say that was a defining moment of a university.
The applications went out at the roof. We became a cool school. You know, we went from being, you know, an academic school to a cool school, and now you fast forward now and you see the facility infrastructure improvements, the notoriety throughout college football. Where's Northwestern to now we're a destination school. So that team completely changed the trajectory of the university, the athletic department.
Such an incredible story, such an incredible legacy. Like I say, when I go to Northwestern's campus now and I see the changes that have been made, I realize and know deep down in my heart that it started with a coach named Coach Gary Barnett, who came with the slogan, "Expect Victory," who taught us how to believe,
I think that was a big project by a lot of people. And the team played the games, but we had so much support. Our facilities director, our academic support, our strength and conditioning people, our trainer, Steve Willard, the help we got from Rick Taylor. It was a joint effort. And the other coaches that the other sports. We just made ourselves into a really fun group, fun community of athletes and coaches. And when that happens, you really got something that's a force. And I think that's what we were in 95, and probably a little bit even in 96. But we were a force to contend with at that university.